Within every legend, there lies not a simple truth, but a mirror. You standing here today, do you have the courage to look into its depths? This is where it began, Paris 1,000 years ago. Not the romantic city we know today, but a place of stone, faith, and strict rules. Look at these streets. They weren't paved with dreams, but with mud and tradition. Every person here knew their place. Society was like a solid stone building, with each stone locked in position. But sometimes, even in the hardest stone, a crack appears, and through that crack, something unexpected grows. Meet Heloise. Look at her eyes. See how they search, how they question. At a time when most women were taught to be silent, her mind was a roaring river of thoughts. She wasn't just beautiful, she was brilliant. And a brilliant mind in a world that wants women to be quiet is like a bird in a too small cage, too small. It either learns to be silent, or it breaks the bars. She was about to break the bars, and this is Peter Abelard. Watch how he teaches. See how he commands the room. At 36, he was the most famous thinker in Europe. Students traveled for miles to hear him speak. But look closer. See that pride in his eyes? That certainty? He believed he had all the answers, until he met a student who had better questions. He was hired to teach Heloise, to fill her mind with knowledge. But what happens when the teacher meets a student who doesn't just receive knowledge, but challenges it, transforms it? Watch them now. See how the distance between teacher and student has collapsed? Their heads bent over the same book, closer than propriety allows. The lessons in logic are still there, but now there's a new language being spoken. In glances held a moment too long, in hands that almost touch. The fire of the mind has begun to warm the heart, and when these two fires meet, there is no containing them. Have you ever felt this? That moment when a friendship, a professional relationship, begins to tremble on the edge of something more. When every conversation feels like a secret shared, and then the dam breaks, not with a word, but with a silence louder than any symphony, a glance that cannot be taken back, a breath shared in the dark, and finally, the kiss. This is not a simple touch. This is a declaration of war against the entire world and its rules. In that moment, Abelard is no longer the famous philosopher, and Heloise is no longer the brilliant student. They are simply a man and a woman, choosing each other over everything else. Can you remember your first kiss that felt like this? Not the awkward teenage one, but the one that felt like jumping off a cliff, knowing the fall might kill you, but the flight would be worth it. But secrets, like fire, cast light, and in that light, new life begins to grow. Look at her hand, resting where their love has taken root. The greatest joy and the greatest danger wrapped together. Now the clock starts ticking. Their private paradise has an expiration date. Society's walls are thick and high. What do you do when the most beautiful truth of your life is a crime in the eyes of the world? Do you hide? Or do you stand in the light and dare them to look away? Every secret has a witness, every lie leaves a shadow. And in the house of Heloise's uncle, Fulbert, the shadow has grown too large to ignore. Look at his face. This is not just anger. This is the fury of a man who feels ownership has been violated. He didn't see a love story. He saw theft. His niece, his property, had been taken without his permission. In a world of strict honor codes, this is not a personal wound. It's a public insult. And public insults demand public revenge. Have you ever seen someone turn love into a ledger, calculating loss instead of feeling joy? That cold, transactional rage. Revenge is a dish best served cold, they say, and Fulbert's revenge would be frozen. He didn't want death. Death is too quick, too merciful. He wanted something more, surgical, more poetic. He wanted to attack not the life, but the identity. Not the man, but what made him a man in the eyes of that society. So he hired men, not to kill the philosopher, but to unmake him. They moved through the night like shadows, toward the room where Abelard sleeps, unaware. The target wasn't his heart. It was his very masculinity. When the sun rose, Abelard was no longer the man he had been, not just physically. They had taken something from the core of his being. In that age, to be a man was to be whole, to be a leader, a lover, a public figure. Now society saw him as broken, incomplete, a eunuch. But look deeper, see the real tragedy. The light in his eyes, the fire of that brilliant mind, has also gone out. The punishment wasn't just for the body, it was a blow to the soul. His pride, his identity, his very reason to speak, all seemed stolen. How do you get out of bed when the world has told you you're no longer a person, but a warning to others? Look at her face as the veil descends. This is not a wedding. It's a funeral. The funeral of Heloise, the woman, the scholar, the lover. The coarse fabric covers the hair that Abelard once touched, symbolically burying the person she was. She takes vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, but her eyes, they don't show piety. They show a terrifying iron resolve. She isn't finding God here. She is building a fortress of the mind. When the world tries to erase you, sometimes the only rebellion left is to become your own sanctuary. Have you ever had to lock away a part of yourself, your wildest dreams, your truest love, just to survive? To build a wall so high that even you can't see over it? And him? Look at the shape of his grief. The monastic robe hangs on him like a shroud. He kneels, but this isn't surrender to God. It's surrender to despair. The man who debated kings now argues only with his own ghost. Every prayer is a memory, every hymn an echo of her laughter. He sought refuge in the church, but found only another kind of prison, one where the walls are made of silence and the lock is his own trauma. What do you do when the thing you dedicated your life to, reason, passion, love, becomes the very evidence used to condemn you? When the God you're supposed to serve feels like the judge who passed the sentence? And so, this is their new geography. 2 islands in a sea of rules divided by a river of silence. Look at the empty boat. It speaks volumes. No one will cross. No messages, no glances, no touch. Their love story, which burned so bright, is now a quiet, parallel suffering. They live the same rhythm of bells, the same isolation, the same longing, but alone. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of us live on opposite banks from someone we love? Separated not by water, but by pride, by time, by choices, by society's unspoken rules. We build our own convents and monasteries every day. The question is, do we have the courage to untie the boat? Years pass. The body remains broken. The world has moved on. But the mind, the heart, they are fields that never stop yielding. In his cold cell, Abelard does something revolutionary. He picks up a pen, not to pray but to confess, to scream into the void. He writes the story of my misfortunes. But look closer. This isn't just a memoir. It's an autopsy. He is dissecting his own pain with the same razor-sharp logic he once used to debate theology. He is turning raw, screaming agony into structured sentences. Personal tragedy is being alchemized into universal truth. Isn't this what saves us all eventually? The moment we stop just feeling the pain and start understanding it. When we give our chaos a narrative. And the message in a bottle finds its shore, Heloise reads. And after a decade of enforced silence, the dam breaks. Not with tears, but with ink, she writes back. Not as a penitent nun, but as his equal, his superior in raw honesty. Her letters are masterpieces that history would preserve. You know, beloved, as the whole world knows, how much I have lost in you. She does not hide. She does not repent. She argues theology. She dissects their past. She demands his spiritual attention. The brilliant student has become a master. The lover has become the philosopher of their own tragedy. Here, in this flickering candlelight, they meet again. Not in a bedroom, but on the page. Not as bodies, but as souls. Have you ever received a letter that felt like a heartbeat through time? That made someone absent, painfully present. Their bodies never reunited, but look here. Their words did, in crossing quills, in shared ink. They built a bridge more durable than stone, a bridge of meaning. And in doing so, they achieved the only victory that matters against time, immortality. Not as saints, not as lovers, but as truth-tellers. Society tried to bury them in shame and silence, but they dug themselves out with words. They turned a scandal into a syllabus, a passion into a philosophy. So what remains of us when our bodies turn to dust? Not the positions we held, but the ideas we planted. Not the kisses we gave, but the truths we dared to speak. Their final lesson: love may be forbidden, memory may fade, but a thought written down, that can conquer centuries. And so the tale ends, so that your own may begin, with all its cracks and honorable scars. We do not forge perfect heroes here. We witness humans. The next time the chill of uncertainty bites, remember,